All right. 90s sitcom time.
This is your 90s sitcom music?
I kind of picked like bubbly sort of.
It almost sounds like the music that girl in Moneyball singing to Brad Pitt when he's in the vehicle.
So I posted this up. This has been on the internet for a long time, but Frank brought this up last week, and I created this one. Mine looks way better than the one that's floating around there on the fucking internet.
It smells fresher, too.
You get to live with one 90s sitcom family. Which one are you choosing? Now, before we get to Frank and Alan's answers, I do want to get to a few here. We had some people on the YouTube, including Anna. She says easy. Fresh Prince. McLovin, 6829.
I actually have a question for this after you're done here.
Okay. McLovin says, Fresh Prince, I've spent enough time in the married with children end of the economic curve.
See here.
Brent says the Bundys, and Lucifer Biden says all but MWC. So everybody but married with children, apparently, for them. So what was your question, Frank?
Well, so here's my thing. It's I saw like a lot of people. I actually had a friend of mine, and I forgot the screenshot, but he said Full House. He wanted to be a part of the Full House group. But the whole, I saw everybody doing the Fresh Prince talking about the economic thing. But if you watch that show, like Will came in, but I mean, he was basically given a house. Everything else he had to work for. So, I mean, unless you were one of their kids, you weren't really gonna get the economic support that, like Will had to pay for everything.
I mean,
yeah, but he had a hell of a house, a fully stocked fridge, and a butler.
Yeah,
to take care of
he had a butler. They had a pool house, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm assuming you're not picking them.
Oh no, I was going with Home Improvement.
All right, okay. Well, really quick, before you guys give your explanations, who are you going with? Frank says Home Improvement. Lan, who are you going with?
I'm going with the Bankses.
Going with the Bankses, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So here we go with Discombobulated Homie says, the Banks, great house, fun family, rich, good weather. Weather definitely comes into play here. And then he also says, I'd go visit the Connors, though, for sure. I'd love to catch a Bears game with Dan Connor. He's a fictional idol of mine, great husband / dad. I agree with that wholeheartedly, where I think Dan Connor is one of the greatest television characters of all time. And then Alexander Puggleton says, we can all use an Uncle Phil in our lives. Now, here comes arguably the most in-depth answer
Lord,
that I found on Reddit.
Somebody thought about this hardcore.
Squirrel Bowl says,
"Oh man, remember."
Oh wait, no. I'm sorry. The person Squirrel Bowl was the answer above. This person, it's a deleted one. So, but we'll give you credit, Squirrel Bowl. It says, "Okay, I'm gonna deduct Roseanne and Married with Children. The childhood trauma coming from that household is enough to create a supervillain. Family Matters."
Children?
I mean,
I think it's just running around being.
I think they're just assuming because it's lower income.
I mean, the daughter was basically a walking
whore,
stripper billboard. The son was a perved Tasmanian devil trying to hook up with every. I mean, they weren't very traumatized on that show.
It's true. Family Matters was great, but regularly saw the kids give up things due to money. So another mouth to feed would put more stress on my man Carl. Look at how he's looking out for Carl. I love Home Improvement, but Tim is dangerous, and I'd like to come out of the house with the same amount of fingers I came in with.
That's why you want to be a part of that family. You don't know the kind of antics you're going to get into there.
Full House and Fresh Prince would give you the most opportunity in life, but Full House would feel like 24/7 people up my butt. There was so many people in that house, and apparently privacy wasn't the greatest, though I did have a crush on DJ and later Stephanie, but Stephanie was hot.
Those are my first two crushes with DJ and Stephanie Tanner.
That's something that I'm going to be bringing up for a later stream is what was your childhood crush?
Cats
or who
out
were
of the
your
bag,
childhood
baby.
crushes? Because, and it turned out beautiful, too, even though she had like a meth problem for a while.
Yeah, she did for a minute there.
Wrapping up this quote here, I'm gonna have to go with Fresh Prince because of the family dynamic. Phil took a kid in and made him his own, even when that kid pushed him away. He made sure that his money and resources allowed his family to thrive and get the best education possible. Lastly, the original Vivian was not above taking her earrings off and fighting for you once Phil's negotiations started breaking down. If she felt the situation was worse than Mayberry RFD, she was gonna whoop somebody's ass.
I actually met the actress that played Will Smith's mom in that series here in Tallahassee randomly at a county
his
fair.
mom.
Yeah, his mom. She was collecting money for something. I can't remember what it was for, but it was a Jamaican Day festival, and she was just here. And I have a picture somewhere. It's probably at my dad's house of me and Will Smith's mom.
You got to get that to us.
I gotta find that. Yeah,
you got to get a picture of that and send that to me.
I do. I gotta find it. It's somewhere.
Another person here says, as far as which family would be the most entertaining to live with, I'd go with Third Rock from the Sun.
Oh Lord.
Underrated show, by the way. Underrated show, I think.
Show. Yeah.
Third Rock from the Sun. And one of the better bits that they ever did was when John Lithgow and William Shatner get drunk on a plane together. And when they get off in the terminal, they're both doing there's something on the wing.
Mm-hmm.
Because you remember both of them did that skit I guess not skit, but they did that storyline for Twilight Zone.
Mm-hmm.
Next one here. This one comes from Max Headroom. The Bundys, so I can be around Kelly. She makes me feel kind of funny, like when we used to climb the rope in gym class.
He does realize, I guess it depends on your interpretation, whether you're part of the family or you're just brought in there. Because if you're part of the family, that's a little Alabama, Mississippi-ish. You're my friends.
Well, the Bundys, because they always stuck together when there was a punch on. So wholesome. And then it was a power of the Whoa Bundy. Remember the Whoa Bundy.
Hello, Bundy.
See, and I think that does kind of come into play here, is whether or not you are a member of the family. So we'll start with you, Lan. I got a few more answers from Reddit, but I want to get to your guys' answers. So, Lan, you're saying Fresh Prince.
Yeah.
Other than the obvious, or is it really just the obvious as to why you're going with Fresh Prince?
It's the obvious. You're taken care of.
Are you considering yourself to be like Will Smith, or are you considering yourself to be like Jazz, who just shows up and kind of lives at the house?
Jazz.
Okay, because of Hillary and the other girl, I can't remember her name, Ashley. I'm just a guy who kind of shows up and lives there.
All right, Frank, you went Home Improvement. Why are you going Home Improvement?
One, because I wanted to see if my dad killed himself like every other day or not. I need to know if I want to see what contraptions he got into. Two, they treated their kids well, even though like later on in that series they kind of went weird with the stories and everything. The mom was fun. I mean, she had the same kind of sass attitude as the father. Plus, you had a cool neighbor that you never saw except for this much of his face that was all up in your business and would give you great advice for no fees.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about living up around Detroit, but whatever.
You got to see Pam Anderson and the other chicks every once in a while.
Yeah, the
Pam Anderson part 2.
Do you know why she left? That was such a funny story.
Dr. PhD says the correct answer is Family Matters as the hot one's boyfriend.
See, if I had to rank, I would have gone Home Improvement, Family or Fresh Prince, and Family Matters. Except I don't know how much Urkel I could have taken, especially when it became the Urkel show. I think I would have ended up murdering Urkel at some point.
Well, going along the lines of Frank's Home Improvement here, Usual Engineering says, if I were my 90s age, I would pick the Taylors. Funny goofball, but stable dad and a stable sassy mom to keep him relatively in line. I'd even have a sage neighbor. Somebody else says, same. They seem the least dramatic of the bunch, and I would love nothing more than a drama-free childhood. I could deal with being the only girl in the family.
Yeah, I mean, they were there with their kids. He's building a vehicle with the kids, who he then later gave. I mean, it wasn't. It's like with the Connors, as much as they cared for their family, like they were really hard on their kids, and there was a lot that you're 16, you're leaving to get pregnant, whatever. Forget you. That's one less mouth to feed here. I would think they would have been the lowest voted family to be a part of.
Well, have you seen? Let me take that off the screen. Just
although they're probably the most realistic.
That was until they started, doing all the dream stuff and winning the lottery and all that weird stuff.
Yeah, they were easily the most realistic of all of the families.
The first 5 seasons, yeah.
So we had here, this was an article about, it came from Patricia Richardson. She played the mom in Home Improvement. And she was talking about whether or not they were going to do a reboot, or they were going to kind of get back together. Because his show Last Man Standing, she appeared on it.
Yep.
Like she showed up on that show. And so when asked if she would be up for a comeback, she said no. In fact, I think that's the reason that Tim is now going on to do another show, which is the same plot as Jungle to Jungle and many of the movies that he's done where he's lost his kid and he has to get his kid back, yada, yada. But I noticed this time he doesn't have a wife. He's divorced. And then she also said that I would hear on social media that he was coming out publicly and saying that this stuff about how everyone was on board to do a home improvement reunion, but he never asked me and he never asked Jonathan. I called Jonathan one day and I said, has he asked you about this? And he went, no. Why is he going around telling everyone that we're on board when he hasn't talked to you or me?
She was like a last second add to that show. The original woman that they shot an actual pilot with was dating Clint Eastwood at the time. And so they kind of like had her on, and I guess she was a decent, but it just wasn't clicking with the show. And so they brought was it Patricia Adams or Patricia Anderson, whatever her name is, brought her in, and it just was one of those things that it just connected, and they ended up, firing Clint Eastwood's girlfriend and put her in. But they had 2 pilots filmed.
All right, we have
different moms.
One more response here. For somebody just says, where's the step-by-step family? To which somebody replied, probably still on the damn roller coaster.
Yeah.
So funny story about that, because I kind of started looking into that. Christine Lakin, she played sort of the tomboy daughter.
Yep.
I have a link to her now. So
she's a cousin?
She was on the Drinkin' Bros podcast in 2018. I was on the Drinkin' Bros podcast back in 2016. If you aren't familiar with the Drinkin' Bros podcast, it was a bunch of military guys. They were actually doing it here in El Paso at the time. Now they're huge. Like if you look up their stuff, it's also like Rocco, the guy that's in or was in
Wallaby?
Who was in Mayans MC. He played Gilly. Mm-hmm. That's he was a part of that back then. He kind of went on and did his own things, and the Drinkin' Bros podcast is still going on. I noticed it today as I looked it up. I'm not listed on that podcast, but if you want to go listen to it, it's episode 39, which is called Bitch I Operate, which was the name of one of their songs that they had come out with. And do you know who I met while recording that? They did it in JT's garage here in El Paso. No, BJ Penn.
Oh, wow.
I was sitting there and they were setting up and they're getting ready to record the podcast, and out of nowhere, BJ Penn walked in. And I was
By the way,
fuck out of here.
He's like, what's up, bro?
The person who responded there, the anti-girl, that's her second response. So that person must have really loved that topic on Reddit, because they responded to 2 on there already.
Well, maybe they really dug the topic. You never know, man.
Or maybe they're the one that came up with it. So
anybody in the chat, if you're here live, or if you guys are rewatching this on one of the playbacks, make sure you guys are clicking like down below, and then also let us know in the comments which family you would live with, and then also why you would live with.
Honestly,
family.
If I could have choose one of them, I would have chose the dinosaurs, and then I could have been a dinosaur.
Just so you can be a dinosaur?
Just so I can be a dinosaur, and then have my series be written off with the Ice Age and us die.
Okay.
Sorry, spoilers.
I picked the dinosaur so I can make some weird dinosaur-human hybrid.
All right, there you go.
Or you could get juiced up like the sun did. Remember that episode?
Oh, yeah.
He was all jacked and shit.
Yep.
And they were actually
he
going down
took the steroids. Those creatures that gave him, and he started having spikes or whatever there was coming out of him.
Yep. Vero says, is Silver Spoons too early? All the toys.
That was the 80s.
Yeah, I think that was the 80s.
We're doing 90th.